Hello, today I'm going to talk to you about Charlotte Mason's education philosophy. Charlotte Mason was born in 1842 and died in 1923. And her philosophy is the oldest of the ones that have inspired my own pedagogy. My pedagogy really is the idea that there can be a unified philosophy, that if we look at the similarities of things like Charlotte Mason, Waldorf, and Montessori more than we look at their differences, we can learn some really important truths about early childhood education. And Charlotte Mason primarily is someone who encouraged homeschooling, and you will primarily see she was a Christian woman, so you will primarily see her approach being done by Christians, but there are some secular Charlotte Mason curriculum options out there. Literature is a huge part of Charlotte Mason's philosophy. She believed in living books as opposed to twaddle. Twaddle was what she called books that were just garbage and not deep literature, uplifting, educating, inspiring. Twaddle would be like a Paw Patrol book as opposed to an Eric Carle picture book, for example. She did not believe, it's interesting to use her education philosophy for early childhood education because she did not believe in education in the early years. She believed that you shouldn't start education until the child is 6 years old, and that in the early years it should be play-based with a lot of going outside in nature. But that's something that, like even Montessori, which we will get into in a future video, but it's a lot more academic. But even in the early years, is academics, is hands-on, toy-based academics. So a theme that you will see in a lot of these philosophies is play-based in the early years is so important. It's so important to be play-based in the early years. And so that is like one huge takeaway. And then nature is another huge takeaway. And art is another huge takeaway. The importance of art. Charlotte Mason puts importance on art. Oh, and literature. Nature, art, literature, and being play-based in the early years are the big things that I take from Charlotte Mason's philosophy. She's really focused on handwork, like teaching children how to knit and carve, and so that's kind of where you see some of the focus on art. But she also believes in doing art studies, where you study an artist and you study their art, and having real art around children, not just like cartoons, but real, like beautiful paintings to inspire their own artwork and for them to study and learn about the artists who made them. So that's kind of a quick summary. Charlotte Mason is probably the one that I am the least familiar with, but I still am heavily inspired by her. So that's just a really, really brief introduction for anyone who's never heard of Charlotte Mason. Who is Charlotte Mason? What does she teach? There you go.